apparently a financial advisor, a 28-year-old financial advisor who herself was spending $500 a month on online shopping and takeout. And then this year she embarked.
Good Lord.
Why even tell people you're a financial advisor at that point? I wouldn't even tell the newspaper that.
Well, I mean, so she's got no discipline. She may, be a great financial advisor, but that doesn't mean she's got discipline to apply that.
This year, she embarked on a challenge to keep her discretionary spending under $50 monthly, so a tenth of what she was spending. As a financial advisor, she says she knows how easy it is to be losing sight of her bigger goals. She said, people are really just prioritizing happiness, and a lot of folks see happiness in traveling, eating out, but simultaneously value larger long-term goals like owning a home and retiring with some wealth, she said. Young adults with lower wage jobs may avoid budgeting and checking their bills because it makes them feel helpless, said a professor of marketing at the University of Chicago. She said, Professor Sussman said, if you feel like you're really behind, then budgeting is also a reminder of how behind you are. If you set goals that are too high, it can be demotivating. It can also help to review what you spent in the past month with a financial buddy, said the head of behavioral science at JP Morgan Private Bank. This should be someone who isn't a romantic partner or family member, but someone who you trust enough to talk through certain purchases. It's forcing yourself to examine your own decisions. He recommends setting financial goals with friends. For example, if you're planning on going on vacation with someone, you can both agree to set aside $50 each week for the trip for the next 4 months, he said. That way, you're both holding each other accountable. And this isn't bad advice to have somebody that you can talk about your finances with in an honest way, although I don't know why they're saying, your partner is a bad choice for that. Like, why wouldn't you, if you have a partner that you care about, why wouldn't you want to be going over the finances?
I'm assuming they meant in addition to your partner. That's what my assumption is. Because you wouldn't want to hide it, but maybe your partner has the same spending habits that you do.
Yeah, it's weird. Maybe, I don't know. It says it should be someone who isn't a romantic partner. Maybe they mean like your current girlfriend who you're not living with. Okay, I get that. Yeah. But like if you're actually living with somebody, then that's the ideal person to have a conversation with about a budget. So I think it's strangely phrased to give it its most credit. But that's the basic story here. And this is something that, people can take away something from. If you aren't paying attention to your finances, there's no better time than now to start doing that. It probably doesn't have to take a lot of your time any given month, but you should be looking at your spending. You should be looking at, what kind of credit cards do you have?
I'm sure there's like some kind of like an app for that too, because like one thing I started to do, because I was listening to Free Talk Live, I was like, maybe I should make myself a budget. And I tried to make one on like Excel, and it wasn't really helping me. Like, I feel like I would have been better served if I looked up if there was, like, an app that does those things for you.
I bet there is, yeah.
Like, tells you how much you spent on what category. I mean, my bank kind of did that, but it was really bad. Like, it wasn't always accurate. It would be like, you spent this much on entertainment. And I'd be like, what? And I'd look at it and it's like, oh, well, this wasn't entertainment,
I mean, I've used some of these apps before. Like Clio is one of them. Dave is another. I think I would recommend between the two. Clio is probably a little bit better. Dave, they took $20 from me 1 month, and they weren't supposed to. I don't remember. They have a subscription fee, and I don't remember exactly what the specifics were because this was like 4 years ago, whatever. But anyway, I was upset about it, so I would not recommend them. But Clio, they do this.
You have to pay for Clio, yeah.
I don't recall.
I would think if you're having serious money issues, you shouldn't get one that you need to pay for. If anything, just get a paper and pencil.
Well, it's likely $1 or $2 per month, right? It's probably really reasonable.
And well, prove to me that you're going to help me first. Like, give me a free trial or something like that where I can see results. You're actually helping me cut back on $100 a month. Okay, you can have $3 a month or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
You get these access to your bank accounts and your debit cards and stuff like that, and they just sort of monitor it. Like, okay, well, you went to Lab and Logger this Friday and you spent $70. That's $70 on entertainment you didn't have to spend. And they do have a roast me mode that's pretty cool, where it's like, hey, you spent $400 at the bar this year, and then it'll roast you for that. So they are pretty cool.
That's neat.
Yeah, I would recommend it.
The other thing is just like I would constantly be opening my bank and looking at the statement and seeing like if anything came out that I didn't know about, or just seeing like trying to realize how much money I had left. And I know people who don't do that, and that blows my mind.
And that's one of the most basic things you can do. It's just at least once a month, Take
No,
the
not
time.
once a month, like every day.
Well, I mean, every day is even better, but, once a month, once a week or something
Because something
like
could
that.
just come out and you'd be like, oh my gosh, that came out. And then you end up with a withdrawal fee because you didn't realize something
Yeah,
came out and you
that's
thought you
true.
had this much to spend.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, back when we were doing Bitcoin selling, if you weren't paying attention to that bank account every day, there's a good chance somebody steals your bank account information because you're giving it out to people to make deposits in your bank account. And they're just like, oh, I'm going to pay my car bill this month with your bank account. And they put your routing number and your account number into their car payment or whatever. And then all of a sudden you get a debit for $2,000 from Toyota. And you're like, what the hell's going on?
It's
and
crazy.
If you don't jump on that right away, if you don't find that until a month later, it's actually too late. It actually gets very, very difficult to challenge that. So if there's an unauthorized debit from your account, you want to be aware of that happening as soon as possible. So you can call the bank and say, whoa, this isn't my Toyota account. I don't know who this is. And then they reverse the charge. But it takes time.
And it's crazy how easy the American banking system makes this, right? All you need is someone's routing number and account number.
That's it.
And you have basically full access to their account. You can write checks from their account if you want. It's crazy.
That is so insecure. It's crazy.
Incredibly insecure. And this is one of the benefits of cryptocurrency because you don't give out your private key to anyone with cryptocurrency. In fact, it's hard to get your private key. And that's the thing that allows you to be able to spend the crypto. If you give somebody a public crypto address, that's okay because all they can do is send you money. They can't authorize debits to come out of your account like with these bank accounts. So your advice is good advice. I think even though we're not financial advisors, your suggestions are good suggestions here. Is like pay attention to these things. And if you feel overwhelmed, maybe you have too many accounts, right? Like maybe, you've gone beyond the level that you can handle. Maybe you don't need 5 credit cards, right? Maybe you only need 1 or none. Bonnie, you said you don't even have a credit card. Now, of course, if you don't have a credit card, then you probably aren't building credit unless you have a loan of some
Are
other
you
sort.
buying a house? Why else do you need credit?
Well, most people are going to need to buy a house or a car at some point.
Yeah, at some point. Although, in my opinion, the best way to buy a car is to get a used car that you can afford to buy. That way you don't have car payments.
Sure.
In that case. Personally, I've never had a car payment because I always just buy a car with cash, essentially.
I've done both. And, if you make the payment, it's not that big a deal. I mean,
yeah, it's pretty
probably
it's pretty
paying a little
common.
bit more in interest, but it's.
If you need to have a car and that's the only way you can get it, then that's what you got to do.
Luckily, I was really lucky in the fact that I had a dad who, I had to ask him, but he co-signed with me for my car once I destroyed my one car. Like, I just paid my mom cash for a car that she had almost paid off. I just paid the rest of it off, got that car. Then I destroyed it on accident.
Oof.
In a blink of an eye. It was ridiculous. And I had to get another car. It had to be like a nicer car because I did Uber Eats. And I was actually happened to be in between jobs in that moment. Like I had to do Uber Eats, so it was like really scary. So my dad co-signed with me. Not everyone has that, so that's a good reason to have
So that's
credit.
why you got the loan because you didn't have the credit because your dad did it. I
Yeah.
see what you're saying. Yeah. So, credit, it's kind of a stupid system, right? Like I had the credit card that I have had for the last several years that I've paid every month on time, every time. They sent me a notice a few months ago saying, and I was surprised they even told me this much. They said, we've become aware of an adverse court decision against you.
Really?
And we're going to cancel your credit card account because of it.
Wow.
And
I'm also
so-
surprised they told you that much.
yeah, so now I have no credit card because that was the only one that I had. And what was interesting was I went and I checked my credit report after that, and my credit went down. So just because the account got closed, that actually hurts your credit score. So they say that one of the things you're supposed to do is once you get the credit card, always have that credit card. Just keep on having that credit card. And even if you don't use it that much, like you put a gas, fill up your gas pump or whatever, so just here and there,
Yeah.
just keep that credit card away. Keep it out there. Don't carry a balance like we're talking about here, but pay it off whenever you can pay it off. Doesn't matter if you don't use it much, just the fact that it's there. And if you're paying it off on time, that contributes to your credit. But if they close the account or you close the account, credit score goes down.
Okay.
So there's like all these weird rules when it comes to, the credit score system that they just don't teach you about, and I didn't know that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that.
I figured, I've always been good with paying this account. It's no big deal if I close it. Well, apparently it was like, I don't know,